Last week we did see Mr. Tabo Kawana feature on one of our programs, a Diamond Live, and he did mention that the CDF is expected to even be released as soon as this week. Can you confirm that this is what is going to be happening this week? Will we see the CDF be released within all constituencies this week?
I'm very certain, and I think one thing that if you look back to from where we're coming, there were challenges even in the release of CDF. I'll give you an example. Having been, I think, privileged to have been in the local government sector for quite some time, you would find that in the past, this money would be released in a phase where maybe you have 30 constituencies being given, the next will wait until just that. And I'll give you a very typical example. Last year, the 1.6 million, I was a town clerk by then. Certain local authorities were getting the 1.6 million, I think about September, October. Now, this is the money that you should have gotten in January because you're expected to deal with the projects that have been, I think, approved within the 12 months. But if you get the funding in September and you are expected to ensure that by December you're done. So first there will be pressure on the part of the officers, and the possibility of making mistakes is quite high. But now, under the current dispensation, we have received money is being disbursed in February. We had the first funding which went towards the bursaries. You are aware schools were opened about January, so there was, I think, that release, the first release of the bursaries, it was dealt with. Now we are going to issues of the projects, the community project, the youth empowerment, the women fund, which will soon be released. And as I'm telling you, before we get into the second quarter, this money will be released within this week. So I can safely confirm that that we as a government were pretty much on track.
What is the rationale behind the release of the CDF quarterly? Why has the government decided to take this route in terms of not releasing the CDF as a whole, sort of it being done quarterly?
The 25.7 million being released at once. We are looking at, maybe just look at this situation. Previously, we were saying the CDF was 1.6 million, And in certain instances, you would find that certain local authorities had even challenges to actually deal with the 1.6 for the entire year. But now we are saying, okay, let's look at this aspect. And I'm glad also to mention that, you see, as we look at the disbursement and utilization of the CDF, we are also looking at the traditional bottlenecks that have been there. For instance, the issue of procurement, because you have to go through various stages and you have to ensure that you don't circumvent the law in this context. Now we are saying, okay, even ZPPA has realized that, and it's also helping to ensure that the process is, I think, made easier. So one thing that has also been cleared is the aspect of the thresholds. All the local authorities now have been given what we are calling unlimited procurement, so that there will be nothing like, no, we have to refer this to this body. These will be addressed at district level. Even if they have to buy or to deal with a project that is beyond maybe 2 million or so, it will be done at district level without, I think, unnecessary bureaucratic tendencies. So there are a lot of factors that are being addressed. And now to come back to your question, why a phased approach in terms of releasing? You should appreciate the fact that we're dealing with, I think, substantial, colossal sums of money. And this is just starting now. We have to start from somewhere. As we go, we will be reviewing these processes. But the rationale is that, you see, when we give a district or a constituency in this context the funding, we expect once they've dealt with all the procedures, they've, I think, disbursed and utilized the funds, and there will be retirement. Once they've retired, there is that satisfaction on our part as government to say, okay, it's done. Then we move to the next funding until we get to December. We have a lot of stakeholders in this process. There is the, what is this, Auditor General's Office. That will now be, I think, more regular. They will not be coming at the end of the year. I think in each and every quarter they will be there to check that the process is being adhered to. We have the Anti-Corruption Commission. Everyone is actually keeping an eye on this CDF, because I think, as it like the way it has been explained, you are aware that this is, I think, a very sure way of actualizing fiscal decentralization to the district. So, you know, these things, when they were being talked about, when the president was like, people thought it was like, no, it's just one of those issues where people talk and it will not happen. But it's happening. And I'm speaking as, I think, somebody who is closely dealing with these issues of CDF as Minister of Local Government. So we are very much alive of what I was talking about. So, Justin, to cut the story short, is that the direction that we have taken of a phased approach in terms of release fund, I think for now, is the most ideal one.